President Trump has taken unprecedented action to roll back several environmental protections over the past year.
He has repealed and weakened regulations that protect water, air, and land. And this includes repealing the Obama-era Clean Water Rule, weakening protections for endangered species, and loosening rules that limit pollution and carbon emissions.
CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli joins us now. Jeff, good to see you.
Good to be here.
So Columbia University's climate deregulation tracker monitors steps taken by the federal government to scale back and eliminate environmental regulations. It has 137 items listed so far. Explain the significance of that number.
So Columbia tracks just about all the rollbacks that are attempted by the administration. Some fail, some do not fail, some are still in the courts. In fact, most of them are probably still in the courts right now. And it basically shows you what the agenda of the administration is, which is to roll back as many environmental regulations as possible, which in their view is pro-business, right? Trying to kind of kickstart the economy, make it better than it is, create more jobs. No one argues that that's a bad thing. Those are short-term gains for probably some very long-term consequences. By getting rid of a lot of these environmental regulations, we're going to see more pollution, we're going to worsen climate change, and we're not taking that leadership initiative that the United States has always taken on so many issues around the world. In fact, we're ceding that leadership to other countries around the world when it comes to climate change, which could be one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue facing us as we head into the future.
You know, Jeff, as you were talking about that, our viewers were seeing a list of the things that had been rolled back by the Trump administration. What has really been the most aggressive rollback?
Yeah, so there have been a lot. I think the one that probably sticks out with a lot of people because they can really relate to it is vehicle emissions standards, which
even the automakers were against.
Right.
This rollback.
Well, some of the automakers are for it, some are against it. There's kind of some infighting there. The Trump administration is trying to take away California's power to set their own vehicle emission standards, which by having their own standards, it kind of propels the industry forward and it makes those efficiency standards better, which saves money in the long run for people because they pay less for gas. But a lot of the rollbacks are to please the fossil fuel industry. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons why they do it so much. It's not just to help business overall. It's especially to help those businesses. But again, what we have to consider here are the long-term consequences of this. Sure, it may help in the short term. In the long term, though, we're going to be moving away from fossil fuels. That's pretty much guaranteed. So it likely would be a lot better if we would move forward quickly with lots of renewable energy. And by rolling back a lot of these, regulations, what we're doing is we're putting the brakes on renewable energy when we really need to press on the, not gas, because that's not, we need to press on the solar and wind big time in order to combat climate change, but also because that is the frontier, right? That is the cutting edge. That's where we're moving. So we want to be a leader in that.
So, I mean, we ask you this all the time, the notion of how do you reverse it? Is it even possible at this point in time?
Well, reversing it is difficult, right? Because a lot of the warming is still baked in at least for a couple of decades. But if we slow down, we put the brakes on, we can slow it down, and eventually we can reverse it. One of the things the Republicans are proposing is putting lots of money into carbon capture. That's great, but if we're still emitting tons of carbon dioxide because we're not cutting back on our fossil fuel use, then we're simply putting a Band-Aid on a problem. We're putting masking tape on the problem. We're not really getting to the root of the issue. If you keep taking Tylenol when you have a headache, that's wonderful, but you're not really getting rid of what's causing the headache in the first place. So that's one of the problems with a lot of what Trump's talking about. And planting more trees is great. Everybody wants to plant more trees. It's not very aggressive. It never gets to the root of the problem, which is to kind of lessen our addiction to fossil fuels. And if we don't do that, we cannot really ever make a big dent in climate change.
All right, Jeff Berardelli. Jeff, thank you very much.
You're welcome.